What are some R-rated things that probably happen in the world of Harry Potter that the story doesn't address? A couple taking polyjuice potion with each other's hair to bang each other as each other. There must be a huge black market for celebrities' hair, obtained from hairdressers or something similar. Wow, holy duck, I would have never thought of that. But that's exactly what would actually happen. There's gotta be another way to conjure a copy of a person with relative ease in the world J.K. Rowling laid out. Right. It's a school with 100 empty classrooms and abandoned spaces with hundreds of horny teens running around. I want to know more about wizard birth control. They've gotta have better shit than we do. Not to worry. Pretty sure there's already an old joke about the fetus deletus spell. Someone probably at one point stuck their wand up their owners and used an illumination spell to turn themselves into a jack-o'-lantern. I know I would. I'm not sure if I want to go to your Halloween party or avoid it at all costs. The implications around love potions and spells are disturbing to think about. Even the books touch on it a little bit with Voldemort's parents. Love potions are more or less the perfect date grape Drew Gus. And yet they are openly and legally sold to teenagers. In fact, I cannot think of a single good use for a love potion. Rowling did not think this through. The Imperious curse that removes free will is unforgivable. But the potion that forces you to love someone you normally wouldn't is a-okay? It just takes one asshole witch wizard to get away with a whole lot of sexual assault. Who needs a roofie when you can stun someone and wipe their memory after? My canon is that Lockhart graped loads of kids in Hogwarts and then memory charmed them so they wouldn't remember. I mean, he used Obliviate all the time on the people whose adventures he stole. Why wouldn't he do the same on 11-17-year-old teens? The punishments are pretty extreme. Azkaban should be considered a crime against humanity. In the Fantastic Beasts movie it was too easy for the main characters to be sent for execution. It also bothered me that the executioners were so calm happy helping someone die. Umbridge should not have been able to use a magical hand scarring pen to punish people. Honestly. It feels like the law in that world has no limits. And I'd be scared if I lived somewhere in which that was normal. Wizards witches have probably committed some pretty sick acts because their legal system is shady. For example, they could torture someone as punishment and instantly heal them. Over and over again. Or they can use a spell that forces them to experience their worst nightmares. There could be people who think that a great case could be fixed by erasing the victims and the criminals' memories. And pretending that the whole event never happened. Really attractive witches wizards selling bits of their hair for use with polyjuice potion. But there are also spells to make yourself more attractive. Didn't Hermione do that with her teeth pretty early on? I think Madame Pomfrey was using a spell to shrink her teeth after Malfoy jinxed her and Hermione let them get to a more normal size before telling her to stop. Mad-Eye Moody had an eye that could literally see through people's clothes and he taught in a school with minors. Think about that. I guarantee there is at least one person out there who is addicted to Felix Felicis, the luck potion from Half-Blood Prince. I mean, if it can get you a perfect day. Don't you think there is someone out there who brews that stuff on bulk? Or even a company that just sells that? And uses it every day to try and have a perfect life? Maybe there's a rehab center or a Feliciholics Anonymous for people who are Felix Felicis addicts trying to quit, similar to actual Drew Gus in the Muggle world. What flying on a broomstick for hours on end does to a man's parts that must not be named. I wonder if Quidditch players have special protection for their little chaps. I hope so. For sure. I'm not 100% sure it's canonical. But at some point I came into possession of a real version of Quidditch through the ages. I believe it was originally written for some charity thing. Which mentions how broomsticks were in fact extremely uncomfortable until the development of cushioning charms to make things tolerable. I would imagine modern sport brooms would actually be quite comfortable. More so even than bicycle seats and such. The story of what really happened to Umbridge when she was taken by the centaurs. There's probably a wizarding college somewhere which makes the antics and hijinks in the wizarding high school look very tame. All kinds of date great spells. Abortion spells. Sobriety spells. drug trip spells, fraternity hazing rituals involving human sacrifice and conjuring demons, etc. Now I'm wondering how a movie through college years in the Harry Potter universe would be. Students hooking up. Doesn't even need to be any magic involved. Maybe someone using their potions or herbology skills to make some wizard drugus. I can see Fred and George doing this. There'd be some wicked wizard acid or something. Magic mushrooms. Memories. When you can transfer them so freely as wizards do, you can live out the sickest desires while never having to commit the crime yourself. Some of those kids were definitely masturbating to the thought of the professors. And not just the cool hot ones like Lupin or Lockhart. Someone was definitely jerking it to Hagrid at some point. Also, a lot of people are like all those kids alone in a big castle. They were definitely having sex. But the castle is full of ghosts. I wouldn't want to be having sex if there was a chance Peeves could just float through the door. Not to mention if Snape caught you. Sure, you could go into the one bathroom where Moaning Myrtle hangs out. Because nobody goes in there. Except Moaning Myrtle is in there. She would definitely be a mood kriller. That said, I would guess there was definitely some shenanigans happening during Quidditch games and the Triwizard Tournament tasks. It doesn't sound like it was mandatory to go to those events. But everybody including the professors went. So you just stay behind with your boyfriend and do whatever while everybody's out. I imagine the Polyjuice potion is way more popular than the book suggested. Doubtful. The book with the recipe was kept in the restricted section. And I doubt many were allowed access like Hermione was. Her use of Polyjuice is so against her public image that I don't think the teacher would suspect her of doing such a thing. In the last book, it's mentioned that many of the first year wizarding students had simply gone missing without explanation. Because of the Death Eaters on the loose. These kids are never found. It's pretty frickin' dark to imagine the Hogwarts Express getting stopped and boarded. And all the young first year students getting escorted to concentration camps. I've always wondered how many sexual mishaps Madame Pomfrey has to deal with. Like, there has to be male students who tried an engorging charm at one point or another and it backfired. What about STDs? Do wizards have different STDs? Newt Scamander said that muggles have different physiologies than wizards, in context of medications. That said, can a muggle-born introduce a new STD to the wizarding community? There has to be birth control charms or potions. As you never hear of pregnant students at Hogwarts. Is there an abortion spell potion? Is this controversial in the wizard world? Is there a spell that girls can use to intentionally stop a period? I mean, if you can magically straighten teeth or have Skello grow. I don't see it as being that far-fetched. All the weed are behind the herbology greenhouses. The popular smart kids coming to their afternoon lesson eating endless amounts of chocolate frogs and biscuits because munchies. Having to write home to get your mum to send a few more galleons because your tits have grown out of your uniform. And you're grateful the school shirts are plain white so it saves a bit of money. Kissing the cute boy from your house at the Yule Ball. Then he pressures you into going further because he's brought his wand and you were trusting enough to leave yours in your room. Being constantly terrified of being hit by some spiteful curse from behind because you're the wrong house. Racially motivated fights down the leaky cauldron. Because some idiot can't hold his mead. What continues to make my mind whirl is that we only really see the world from England's path. What's the magical community like in Russia? Australia? We get one little nod of a joke in book 4, the Salem Witches Alliance, about the US. But what about the rest? And Voldemort's rise to power was in the 50s, I believe. Shortly after some heavy shit going down in Germany. Something to do with ethnic cleansing. I believe? What did the magical community think about all that? Surely there must be one Jewish wizard or witch somewhere in the world that had something to say about all that? And statistically, there had to be one. At least one. Person that decided to use their magic for gain in the muggle world. Suddenly the Fortune 500 company with an inexplicable new CEO has its stock prices go up 5,000% overnight. Dude stands there in his glass tower. Drinking coffee. Looking 120 floors down to Wall Street. Using his wand to Axio his iPhone and Lamborghini keys off the desk for his 10 AM meeting across town. Surely, from a purely statistical standpoint, there had to be one person that decided a lifestyle reminiscent of the mid-1800s wasn't what they wanted. People probably used the Cruciatus curse for some BDSM kinky shit, and then someone used it as torture and ruined it for everyone by getting it banned. There was this one bit in the books where one was practicing cheering charm spells and did it wrong and ended up being all giddy and laughing and had to be led away for an hour. Charm junkies. There would just be a bunch of wizards sitting in a basement duplicating and transfiguring food and water while spending the rest of the time constantly ecstatic on cheering charms. Hagrid's dad was an exceptionally short man who nailed a violent 20-foot tall near human. Giant and pretty. Based on the description of Grawp, they look like enormous hairless apes. There are always people out there. Some guys like them thick. Some like them thin, while others want to experience death by snoo. Probably some ducking while under the effects of a levitation spell. On the more gory side, Rowling has never fully explained how someone makes a Horcrux, and she has actually refused to tell the public. She apparently told the exact process to someone once and they actually got really sick from hearing the details. I can only assume that beyond just murder, it's pretty gross. Heck, maybe it's an act of necrophilia. My honest guess? Magic, murder, and the four humors. Not many people wanna think about someone murdering somebody and robbing blood, sheet, bile etc all over an object and forcing your now shattered soul into the object. There's also probably some humors and or elements based ritual for setting up the shattering. Young couples running off to elope and making the unbreakable vow to love each other until death do us part without realizing the full consequences and literally dying if they ever fall out of love with the other. The politics of Harry Potter are something worth exploring. There's a Ministry of Magic and it has some sort of legal enforcement powers and its own prisons that engage in clearly cruel and inhumane punishments that almost certainly violate the ICCPR. And they claim the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom at least is clued into the existence of this society. Magic Society also has its own currency and banking institutions, so they must lend out money and, again, have a currency issuing authority. There are several problems with this. For one, sovereign states like the United Kingdom aren't super happy about another state existing in their territory and arresting people, trying them, imprisoning and torturing them, having a thriving banking sector that pays zero taxes. It also means wizards who aren't well connected to the Muggle world may not have official citizenship in any Muggle nation and are thus stateless persons. Unforgivable curse or not, I absolutely guarantee you that there are people who would use the Imperious Curse consensually for BDSM purposes. Even just the description of how it feels to be under that spell reminds me of the subspace mindset that can definitely be a thing in a DS situation. It would probably be pretty hidden. Because unforgivable curse. But I would have no trouble believing it happened. I imagine at least one werewolf woke up the next morning vomiting bone and hair and scraps of night clothes. Then saw that the cage was one charm shy of protecting their loved ones. Then healed themselves. Harry and Hermione spent an awful lot of time in the Deathly Hallows alone. Sleeping together in a tent. And both in very vulnerable emotional places. Spells can make things explode. No doubt a wizard or two has exploded from an accident or in a duel battle. Or like the flying shards of glass from that fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort at the Ministry of Magic. People just cut to pieces and stabbed to death by flying silverware. Butterbeer is only like 2% alcohol, right? Are students smuggling in other types of booze? What's the drinking age for the wizarding world? Surely some of the kids are involved with Drugus too.